السلام الله عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. النهاردة إن شاء الله موعدنا مع الدرس نمبر 3 مع المالتي كويشنز أو المالتي تاسكس. النهاردة إن شاء الله الدرس ده هيعلمك إزاي تبرمج عقلك وتعوده على طريقة السؤال والإجابة بمنتهى الارتياحية، فتبقى قادر واثق إنك تتكلم بمنتهى الطلاقة من غير أي تفكير. ما تفكرش في أي نوع من أنواع الجرامر وأنت بتتكلم، إزاي هتسأل السؤال أو الطريقة. المهم تنزل الدرس وتسمعه 30-40 مرة مثلا. سمعت الدرس كتير 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 هتبقى قادر ان انت في اي كونفرزيشن تخش فيها تسأل بمنتهى الارتياحية وتجاوب برضو بمنتهى الطلاقة ومنتهى السهولة. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. النهاردة موعدنا مع الدرس الثالث lesson 3 من Easy English for You بعنوان Pharaonic Village. الدرس الثالث احنا كنا قلنا ان احنا هنعمل فيه حاجة اسمها MS او الماني ستوريز او المالتي كويشنز، ودي عبارة عن اسئلة احنا بنسألها وفي نفس الوقت بنجاوب عليها. يعني انا بسأل وبنجاوب عليها عشان ندرب نفسنا على السؤال، والإجابة عشان الكلام يخرج منا اوتوماتيك. Welcome to the mini story for Pharaonic Village. And the mini story I will do 3 things. I will make a statement. For example, I arrived in Pharaonic Village at Saqqara city. When you hear a statement or a sentence you just say yes, yeah. يعني لما تسمع الستيتمنت او العبارة اللي انا هتكلم عنها واسأل عليها الاسئلة say yes, yeah. ليه؟ عشان تميز ان دي statement مش سؤال. The second thing I will do, if I ask a questions you know the answer to. لو انت عارف الإجابة. For example, where do I arrive? I will stop. أنا هقف بعد ما أسأل السؤال. You say the answer. You must say the answer to every questions. I say I arrive in Pharaonic Village. Where did I arrive? You say Pharaonic Village. يعني أنا هسأل السؤال وأنت قول الإجابة لو أنت عارفها. طب في حالة إن أنت مش عارفها. Number 3, I might ask a question you don't know the answer to. If you don't know the answer, just guess. Say any answer, but you must answer every questions. Use your pause button if necessary. Okay, let's begin. Here we go. معنى صح ولا نبدأ لازم تكون تجاوب كل سؤال. لو مش عارف الإجابة جس تخمن، بس المهم إن أنت تجاوب كل سؤال. درب عقلك على إيه؟ على الإجابة. I arrived in Pharaonic Village at Saqqara city on the day of the dead, July 1st. Did I arrive in Pharaonic Village? Yes. Yes, I arrived in Pharaonic Village. Where did I arrive? Pharaonic Village. Right, I arrived in Pharaonic Village. أنا بقول سؤال بسكت شوية وحضرتك تجاوب. What did I arrive in Pharaonic Village? July 1st. I arrived in Pharaonic Village on July 1st. Where did I arrive in July 1st? Pharaonic Village. I arrived in Pharaonic Village in July 1st. Okay, easy, سهل. سؤال وحضرتك تجس الإجابة. نتابع. I arrived in Pharaonic Village on the day of the dead, July 1st. Who arrived in Pharaonic Village on the day of the dead? Well, me, Muhammad Saeed. I arrived in Pharaonic Village on the day of the dead, July 1st. Did I arrive in Pharaonic Village on July 3rd? No, I didn't arrive in Pharaonic Village in July 3rd. I arrived in Pharaonic Village on July 1st. I arrived in Pharaonic Village on the day of the dead, July 1st. I was curious about this holiday, so I went to the cemetery to see what was happening. Was I angry about this holiday? No, I wasn't angry about this holiday. Was I sad about this holiday? No, I wasn't sad about this holiday. I was curious about this holiday. Who was curious about this holiday? Well, me, I was curious about this holiday. What was I curious about? The holiday. I was curious about the holiday. Which holiday was I curious about? Which holiday was curious about? The Day of the Dead. I was curious about the Day of the Dead. I was curious about the Day of the Dead, or I was curious about the Christmas. No, I was curious about the Day of the Dead, of course. So I went to the cemetery. أنا كنت curious، شغوف، عايز أعرف إيه اللي بيحصل، فضولي. I went to the cemetery. Did I go to the cemetery? Or did I go to the airport? Easy. I went to the cemetery. Who went to the cemetery? Well, me, Muhammad Saeed, me and my friends. شارون خان حمدى الميرغنى. I went to the cemetery. Where did I go? To the cemetery, right. I went to the cemetery. When did I go to the cemetery? When? July 1st. Yeah, that's right. The Day of the Dead. I went to the cemetery on the Day of the Dead, July 1st. Why did I go to the cemetery? Well, to see what was happening. I went to the cemetery to see what was happening there. Who went to the cemetery? To see what was happening. Me, Muhammad Saeed, my friend is Sharon Khan and Hamdi Mirghani, went to the cemetery to see what was happening there. I think it's simple, يعني. Where was the cemetery? In Pharaonic Village. The cemetery was in Pharaonic Village. What is the Day of the Dead? A holiday. The Day of the Dead is a holiday. When the Day of the Dead, July 1st, the Day of the Dead was and is July 1st. So I went to the cemetery on the Day of the Dead to see what was happening. What I found was quite interesting. Was it boring? No, it wasn't boring. It was interesting. Was it interesting? Yes, it was interesting. The cemetery was interesting. How did I feel about the cemetery? I felt it was interesting, or I thought it was interesting. Was it boring, or was it interesting? It was interesting, of course, it was interesting. What was interesting? The cemetery. The cemetery was interesting. When was the cemetery interesting? It was interesting on the Day of the Dead, July 1st. The atmosphere in the cemetery was like a party. Was the atmosphere very sad? No, the atmosphere was not sad. The atmosphere was like a party. The atmosphere was very happy. Was the atmosphere sad or happy? The atmosphere was happy. The atmosphere was like a party. What was like a party? The atmosphere. The atmosphere in the cemetery was like a party. Where was the atmosphere like a party? In the cemetery. The cemetery? The atmosphere was like a party in the cemetery. Was the atmosphere like a party at my house? No, not at my house. The atmosphere was like a party at the cemetery. The atmosphere was not like a party in my house. Families were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestor. Where were the families sitting around the graves? They were sitting around the grave. Who was sitting around the graves? The families. The families were sitting around the graves. Were they sitting around the trees? No, they weren't sitting around the trees. They were sitting around the graves. Were they sitting around the graves of their dead ancestor? Yes. They were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors. Were they sitting around the graves of their friends? No, not really. They were sitting around the grave of their dead ancestors. Okay. I think it's simple to try yourself. Try to answer by yourself. Try it. Okay, in order to be able to ask questions and answer immediately. Who was sitting around the graves? That's right, families were sitting around the graves. Whose grave were they sitting around? Whose graves were they sitting around? Yes, their dead ancestor. Their ancestor graves. Okay. طرق مختلفة لأنك تسأل السؤال. They were sitting around the graves or their dead ancestor of their dead ancestor? Were they sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors or the grave of their friends? Ancestor, right. They were sitting around the grave of their dead ancestor, not friends, sure. احنا فاكرين الدرس الدرس نمبر 3 اللي ما شافوش يشوفوا كويس، لازم يركز في الدرس علشان الأسئلة دي على الدرس. Okay, they cleaned the graves and added fresh flowers. Who cleaned the grave? That's right, the families. The families. What did they add? They added fresh flowers. Did they add food? No, they didn't add food. Did they add money? No, they didn't add money. They add fresh flowers. they added fresh flowers. Did I admire the beauty of the trees? No, I didn't admire the beauty of the trees. I did admire the beauty of the children. Did I admire? No, I didn't admire the beauty of the children. What did I admire? Why did I admire the flowers? I admired the beauty of all the colorful flowers. Who admired the beauty of all the colorful flowers? That's right, Muhammad Saeed. Me, I admired the beauty of all the colorful flower. Where did I walk? I walked through the cemetery. When did I walk? Through the cemetery. Oh, November 1st? The day of the dead? The day of the dead, November 1st at Guatemala. But at Pharaonic Village, it's July 1st. November 1st at Guatemala, July 1st, Pharaonic Village. I walked through the cemetery. Okay. Which holiday was I curious about? The Day of the Dead. I was curious about the Day of the Dead. So I walked through the cemetery. There was also color in the sky because many kids were flying kites. So I was curious about it. There was also color in the sky because many kids were flying kites. Do you imagine that? Did anyone imagine that? Okay, this was very slow and soft mini story. So this mini story is good for beginning level learners, for intermediate learners, for advanced learners. I use mini stories that are much faster and more difficult, but this mini story is for beginner.